from the very topic of this Upanishad and the very brevity of this Upanishad, it is assumed that the student is a highly qualified student. The student has done their respective spiritual practices, and the sadhana, the upasana that the student has done has fruitioned into a very quiet mind. And it is assumed in this Upanishad, even though there isn't a special mantra which indicates that a student has asked a question and the teacher is answering, like in most Upanishads. In this one, even though there isn't a dialogue, but it is assumed that the student has asked a very refined question about what is the self. And the answer in this Upanishad about what is the self, the teacher does not waste any moment, the teacher does not waste any breath, and the teacher doesn't use any other jargon, but in 12 mantras he indicates what is the self. And the very topic of all Upanishad is to indicate to us our true nature. We have assumed our identity of being a miserable jiva. We have assumed our identity of being a limited soul, alpagnya, alpashaktiman, alpabuddhiman, all those things. And the Upanishads are very clear in our identity that our identity is nothing less than absolute divine consciousness. And equivocally in all Upanishad, that alone is indicated without any ambiguity. And this Upanishad is no exception. This Upanishad's first mantra starts out with a beautiful understanding of this world. The teacher goes from outside in. And likewise, a teacher should, having understood the student, where the student is, and the student and the teacher both exist in this outside plane of existence, the world of Maya, the world of plurality. So the teacher in the first mantra sums up very beautifully, Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam. The whole world is nothing but Om. This Om iti etad aksharam. All that is seen is this akshar, and he's over here and he's not referring to Akshar Brahman yet. Over here, Akshar is literally the Akshar seen, Ma, what we write is that Om label is, everything is this label Om. And now the remaining mantras will reveal the nature of Om. What is this Om? So he labeled this outside world, churned out of Vedas. This is a very, very divine thought which is present in all Vedas, that this Om alone is the absolute reality, and the Om over here means the symbol Om. Om iti etad aksharam idam sarvam tasyopa vyakhyanam, and its vyakhya is now done. It is elaborated, its exposition is done, its explanation will be taken upon on the fabric of these 12 mantras. And Bhutam, Bhavat, Bhavishyat, iti sarvam Omkara eva. So all in the past, all in the present, and all in the future, everything is Omkar. So he is taking the timeline of past, present, future, and in that timeline, the objects which have existed, the objects which are existing, and the objects which are going to manifest in due time, those objects are Om. Because the first line said Om iti etad aksharam idagam sarvam, all this. So when he is using the timeline of the past, present, future, what is indicated is the arrival of the objects. They will be also called Om. What has passed on, they are Om, and what are here, they are Om. And yatcha yad trikalatitam yad api omkara eva. And those which are trapped in the tunnel of time, those are declared to be Om, but those which are not trapped in the tunnel of time and space, what is beyond that, tadapi Om eva. So that Mula Prakriti and the Absolute both are indicated as those which are not trapped in time. So this Mula Prakriti and none other than this Absolute Om, they are also Omkar. So we saw what is Omkar. Shankaracharya ji, we saw the explanation Bhutad Bhavishyat iti Kalatraya Parichhedyam Tadapi Omkara eva. Beyond that time, that is also Om. Trapped in this time, space, causation, the objects, that is Om. Now, abhidhana abhidheyayoho ekatve api abhidhana pradhanyena nirdeshah krutah. What is said is abhidhan, which is the name, abhidheya, the object which is named. So remember over here in this first mantra, what is talked about is this Omkar Vichar is done, and that Omkar Vichar is done from the Nama Nami standpoint. Okay, and each mantra is the Omkar Vichar, because everything is Om. So what is this first mantra? Everything. And what is this everything? Etad Akshara, the letter Om. So Om is label, and when there is a label, there is an object labeled. So that is what he is referring to as Abhidhana, Abhidheya. Abhidheya is the object labeled, and Abhidhan is the label, the object. So Abhidhana Abhidheyayoho ekatve api apidhana pradhanyena nirdesha krutah. This abhidhana abhidheya ekatvena, even though they are appearing as one, abhidhana, the name abhidhana pradhanyena nirdesha krutah. The primary thing over here is the label, labeled. When the object is there, the importance is the name. What is named is indicated after the utterance of the name. Without the name, the object cannot be identified. So, the name has to precede the object. This is intellectual gymnastics now. It is very much systematic thought. He nails everything. So try to bear with this. I will make it as simple as possible. Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam ityadi. When it is said in this mantra that Om iti etad aksharamidam sarvam, in the first mantra when it is said that all this is Om, what is the pradhana vastu? The pradhana vastu is Om. Like when I say glass, the name glass is very important, because with the name, only when the name is uttered, a vritti of a glass will take birth in your mind and you will look at what is in my hand. So when I say water, so the water label is very important than the actual object water. The pradhanata is of the name. Without name, no vritti can originate. In our human learning, the objective reality makes sense because the objects are identified. If there was no way of categorizing or identifying, we would not know the object. The object being in front of us, we wouldn't know. Sometimes, what is when a word is uttered, and when a word is uttered and the uttered word has a meaning, what happens is the uttered word, its meaning, both after doing their job of indicating, they both disappear, and what is left is the experience. So what is important is what is left after the disappearance of the name and the object. I can narrate a joke. The words will have some meaning, and the meaning will dawn based upon the words labeled, and what is left after the joke is laughter. So laughter is the experience, and the laughter would not have arrived had the labels of the words preceding the words, and then the words themselves making sense based upon label. What is left is the experience. And what is important is the experience. Is it not in this whole world we label everything, each object, and the object, we went through it, jati, kriya, guna, visheshana, all this is indicated for what? For experience. Then I will know what it is. So the experience left behind is what is pradhana vastu then. The label falls off, the meaning falls off, the label and the meaning leaves behind an experience. And I loot away the experience and move on. Our entire life is a series of experiences. But the experiences would not be possible without labels. Without names, without labels, these experiences would not be there. So now, what he's saying is, abhidhana pradhanyena nirdishtasya punaha abhideya pradhanyena nirdeshaha abhidhana abhideyoho ekatva pratipratyartha. So abhidhan, the name is more important than the object, because without the name the object cannot be revealed. But the object is more important than experience, because if the object is not known, what experience will you have? So name becomes important for the object. The object becomes important for the experience. So both of them are very important, and the importance of the label was talked about. Now the importance of the meaning, the object, is talked about. Both of them are important. The experience aspect is not indicated over here, otherwise you would understand why is he talking about, because the name has to equal the name has to equal the object, and the object has to equal the object has to equal the name, so that the experience is exactly what we mean. That is why whether you pronounce it the same, but you change one vowel here and there, the meaning changes. It is depending upon how I have used it. What is the weather like today? Then we know what is meant is the tapman, the environment, the temperature. Do you know whether he is coming today? Now the meaning of the same word weather is different. In the same way, the label has to have a meaning, and the meaning also has to match the label to produce correct experience. Otherwise it will be completely different. So in Kaivalya Upanishad we saw that tatvameva tvameva tat. You are that, and that alone you are. Otherwise you are that, but that can be something completely different, and I can accept it, but I look very different than that. When it is said that you are Narayan, Narayan has 4 arms, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. And over here it is Tattvameva Tvameva Tat. You are Narayan. But then you look up the meaning of Narayan, and Narayan is Chaturbhuja Narayan is what is known. And I look around, I don't have 4 arms. Then which Narayan are you talking about? When it is said Tattvameva Tvameva Tat, you are Narayan, then Narayan is you. Then when I say Narayan is me, then which Narayan am I? What is indicated, Tattvameva Tvameva Tat, is the essence of you, is the essence of Narayan, and the essence of Narayan is entirely your essence without a shadow of a doubt. But if I look at the human frame and compare to the Narayan frame, we are never going to be equal. So the words over there, Tattvameva Tvameva Tat, is the essence, is what is indicated. Not the Vachyartha. The Vachyartha is Narayan is Chaturbhuj and I am Dvibhuj. Bas. So Lakshyartha is what is talked about. So when we say the whole world is Omkar, Omkar eva iti idagam aksharam sarvam, what are we talking about? When we say Omkar, Omkar is this table, Omkar is this glass. Bapre, Omkar is the table, Omkar is the glass. Even a kindergartner can tell me, no Swamiji, table is not the glass. So now we have to understand the meaning of Omkar. What is really indicated. So the pradhanata of both is showed over here, and he says over here that itaratha hi abhidhana tatra abhidheya pratipattihi iti abhidheyasya abhidhanatvam gaunam iti ashanka syat. Ekatva pratipattescha prayojanam abhidhana abhidheyayoho ekatvena prayatnena yugapat pravilapanas pravilapayamstad vilakshanam brahma pratipadyate iti tathacha vakshati pada matra matrasya padaha iti ityaha. So what he is saying is abhidhan pradhan is there, abhidheya gaunam is there, abhidheya pradhan is there, abhidhana gaunam is there. That one is important, the other one is secondary. The secondary becomes important and the primary becomes the secondary in both ways. What are we talking about over here? Name and the object. The name has to precede the object, and then object has to reveal an experience. So the object has to be congruent to the name to have the same experience. So the name is important, the object is important, and the object becomes primary for the experience. And pravilapanam, when both disappear, what should remain is Brahman. Brahman vilakshanam, which is completely different. So when all this is Brahman is indicated, when the name and the object drops, the experience which is left, over here, Brahman is not the experience. Brahman, over here, what is indicated is Vilakshanam. Because each object, each label leaves a knowledge behind, an experience behind. But the pravilapanam of both of them, when both of them disappear, what remains is Brahman. And he says, what Brahman? He says, don't jump the guns yet, because later on it will be talked about what is the Brahman, because he analyzes, Shankaracharya ji analyzes this based upon what is mentioned in the Upanishad. And over here what is mentioned is, over here, padascha matra and matrascha padaha. And what he uses is the matra and the pada, and the matra and the pada, what he's talking about is the jagrat, the swapna, the shushupti avastha. Because the name and the object named is where it is in a waking state. The name and the object named is where in the dream state. The name and the object named is where in the deep sleep state. But in the deep sleep state, there is a knowledge of the absence of objects. So absence is labeled, nothing is. So all this are in this, the Soyamatma Chatushpad. It is in 4 parts. And the 4 parts have these matras, Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. And when the 3 of them are gone, what remains? It is the Turiya Pad. So what he's saying is, the name and the object which is named, when that disappears, what remains is I, Brahman. Because to whom is this experience? The object, the label and the object label cannot independently exist without me. The experience of the object cannot happen without the experiencer. And the experiencer, who knows? He is, and everything is in this experiencer. So everything exists in the realm of I. So Om iti etad idagam sarvam, and Om, which is all this, is I. Because it is known, the experience, what is the location of the experience? Me. The name falls, the object falls, the name and the object leaves an experience. Where is this experience? Without me, no experience. Remember, I had said this is a unique Upanishad. In all Upanishads, the subject matter is approached as Brahman, as the Nimitta Upadana, Abhinna Nimitta Upadana Karan. When we started Mundaka, we saw that Yathorna Nabi Srujate Gruhnate Cha. Taittiriya Upanishad, etasmad jayate pranaha kareva, etasmad jayate kham vayu apa prithvi. So he is from him, etasmat whom? From him is born Akash, Akashad Vayu, Vayo Agnehe, Agne Apa, Apo Oshadibhyonnam, Annat Purushaha. So Shrushti Prakaranam cannot start, creation cannot start without the material cause Brahman. But then it was explained that what kind of material cause is it? Is that material going through the modification like the milk turning into curd? Because once the milk turns into curd, curd cannot become milk. So then it was established that it is abhinna nimitta upadana karan, which is vivarta. It is an appearance as though the Brahman is the material cause of the universe. Over here, Brahman is approached very differently. In this Upanishad, Brahman not the cause of the universe. Brahman is Turiya, is me, and the objects exist where? In me. There is no point of creating a cause for the object, because without me an object cannot exist. I gave reality to the object. If I close my object, what is in front of my eyes? Who will know? Certainly not me. So that is why over here it is very important what is said over here is this abhidhan abhidheya yoho ekatvena prayatnena yugapat pravilapanasya. When both of them disappear, what is there? Vilakshanam brahma pratipadyate. A unique thing remains at the disappearance. At the end of the joke, there is only a laughter. At the end of the disappearance of the name and the object named, Brahman is left, and that is Brahman. So, Omkara Vichar in the first mantra over here is that all this universal material world, all which is labeled Om, 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 Omkar, it's the same. And I explained that A, U, Ma, in the entire sound, all that is indicated is in this Om. But all that is indicated is Om has to leave behind some experience. That object, when I say glass, it better produce a glass vritti. If it produces a dog vritti, there is something wrong with language. That is why we have language. A dog is a dog, glass is a glass. But over here in philosophy, we are going beyond the purview of language. In philosophy, when I say a label and an object labeled, I'm looking at the deeper meaning that the label and the labeled leaves behind. And what is left behind is experience. That is the purpose of language. And for the precise communication, so that we don't miscommunicate, we even have grammar. We have nouns, we have verbs. These nouns, they decline. Verbs, they have to be conjugated. Adverbs they have to be in case and gender and tense with the noun as well as the verb. It has to go properly. For what? So that the experience cannot be misinterpreted, is it not? The purpose of grammar is to leave a precise experience. That's why Sanskrit is such a powerful language, because the word says what it means and it means what it says. Then it is called a language. If the words, they indicate one thing, but if it means something else, Hare Ram Ram, it will be a major problem. So you have to say what it means, and it means what was said. That is called a precise mode of communication. But over here, when in spirituality what we are talking about, this language leaves a mark. We call that mark an experience. And that experience transforms. That experience has a locus. Without the locus, the experience cannot be experienced. So the locus is going to be talked about as matras. Which matra? Jagrat, Swapna, Shushupti. The experience can be in Jagrat Avastha, the experience can be in the Swapna Avastha, the experience can be in the Shushupti Avastha, and then there will be an analysis of these avasthas. That really, what are these avasthas? And the pravilapanam of the avastha will be done by the Upanishad into Turiya. A systematic merging of these avasthas will happen, and it will say Turiyameva. Thus, this first mantra, Shankaracharya ji says that the whole world, etad aksharam, idagam sarvam, even though it is over here the objective reality using language, language means something, that something leaves an experience, the experience is me. The experience cannot be to a dead man. A person lying in the coffin doesn't know about the world. There is no experience. So that is what is going to be said. Now, the identity of this I. Who is this I? So we do the second mantra. Sarvam hi etad. Sarvam hi etad. Brahma. Brahma. Ayamatma Brahma. Soyamatma Chatushpat Sarvam hi etad Brahma Ayamatma Brahma Soyamatma Chatushpat Sarvam hi etad Brahma Ayamatma Brahma Soyamatma Chatushpat. We chanted this 3 times because this is a Mahavakya. This is true identity revealing statement. This is what makes Mandukya Mandukya. This is a most famous definition, if there is one, of Brahma. Sarvam hi etad Brahma. Last mantra, Sarvam hi etad Aksharam Omkar eva. This mantra comes and says, Sarvam hi etad Brahma. So, from the last mantra to this mantra, there is a jump. What is the jump? Last mantra, there was a name and the object named. This mantra comes and says, the name and the object has disappeared, the experience is remaining. Who is that experience? That is Sarvam hi etad Brahma. So it is the experiencer's identity. And what is that identity? Ayam Atma Brahma. This experience is where Ayam Atma Brahma. In this absolute Brahman, all is known. And this Atma, as opposed to that Atma, their Atma, no. The world is known not in Vaikuntha. The world is not known in Kailasha. The world is not known anywhere. Where is the world known? Here. When it is said Ayam, it is indicated the closest most. Ayam Atma. This Atma is Brahma. And there in Ayam Atma, this is known. So all that Akshar Brahma that disappeared, Omkar Akshar, what was Pravilapanam was Brahman, and that Brahman, Saha Ayam Atma Chatushpat. And this Brahman, it is expressing in 4 parts. And the next mantra is the first part, Jagrat Avastha. The third mantra. The fourth mantra will be Swapna Avastha. The fifth and the 6th mantra will be the Sushupti Avastha. And the 7th mantra is the Turiya. Is the 4th. So now, when it is said, Sarvam hi etad Aksharam Brahma. What is it? Sarvam hi etad Brahma iti. Sarvam yad uktam omkara matra api tad etad Brahma. So what was, Shankaracharya ji says, what was talked about in the first mantra, that Sarvam hi etad Omkar. That Omkar, which was a label, and that label meant something, the labeled object, so that Abhidhan, Abhidheya. Abhidhan, which was Omkar, Abhidheya, the object, that Sarvam Omkar over here is Sarvam Yad Uktam, which was spoken where? In the previous mantra, Omkar Matram iti etad Brahma. Over here he is coming and saying that it is Matram. Matram, it is a place where it is experienced. That's Bhagavan also uses this word. Matra sparshastu konteya shitoshna sukha dukkhadaha agama paino anityaha tam titikshasva bharata. He uses matra. The word, the English word meter, the unit of measurement, comes from this matra. Mi, miyate. Where is it measured? Where are objects measured? Where are objects known? In a matra. What is that matra? Jagrat avastha. That's why they are called matra. A place where it is known. If we never woke up in the morning, the experience of the day will not be there. That means the day is not going to be there. Finished. So that becomes a place of measuring Omkar. It is matra. So this Omkara matra, tad etad Brahma. This itself is Brahma. Don't look for Brahmans with a name or a form or a label. All this happening, that which allows you to even measure, allows you to know the waking state, the whole thing Brahma. Tacha Brahma paroksham paroksha abhihitam pratyakshatah visheshana nirdishati ayamatma brahma iti. Tacha Brahma paroksham, that which is indirectly indicated. Paroksham, indirectly indicated as Omkar in the first mantra, that is indicated over here, that Brahman, ayam iti chatushpad tvena pravibhajyamanam pratyagatma abhinayena nirdishati. Over here, that which was indirectly indicated as Omkar, it is indicated over here pratyakshataha. It is indicated directly. Visheshena nirdishati ayam atma brahma iti. It is directly indicated as Brahma. That was indicated in the first mantra. It was indicated as Om, 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 Om. There. In this mantra, there becomes this. It becomes over here directly as here. Here it is known, here it is known, here it is known. Here in the waking it is known. And in the waking, who is it? Brahma, 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 Brahma. And what is that Brahma? The identity of Brahman is revealed over here. Ayam iti chatushpatatvena pravibhajyamanam pratyagatma abhinayanena nirdishati. The four states, the four matras of waking, dream, deep sleep and the turiya, when these four ayamiti chatushpatatvena pravibhajya, when they are when the first one, the second and the third, when they are negated, what remains is pratyagatma. The first, when the first state, which state? Waking state. Deep analysis is coming up. So this is just an introduction in this mantra. The deep analysis of how pravilapanam happens, he himself will explain in, and there are actually karikas on all this. So it will be very deeply explained. But the pravilapanam of the waking state is in the waker. The identity of the waker, Vishwa, this, who is this Vishwa, Tejas and Prajna? They are the identity of the waker, the dreamer, and the sleeper. The waker, when he awakes, who wakes? That is said over here, Pratyagatma, the innermost self. And that innermost self, you cannot go any more deeper than that. That is Brahma. And that is the Pravilapanam, final state, where you cannot do any more Pravilapanam. Pravilapanam, dissolving. All the labels are dissolved into objects. All the objects are dissolved into experience. All the experiences are dissolved into the experiencer. And the experiencer is resolved into who? The innermost self, Pratyagatma. This is how they are going. This is how the Upanishadic Rishi, Mandukya Rishi, he goes in this way. And this Brahman is resolved into what? Pratyagatma is resolved into what? Nothing. Something has to support the experience. So that is the identity, and that is the Atma, and that is the Brahman. That is what Shankaracharya ji is saying over here, that Ayam, when it is said Ayam, what is the Ayam? Ayam iti Chatushpatatvena Pravibhajyamanam. As we are resolving the experiencing, Manaj Pratyaya is used over here to say the continuous resolving of the experiences. This happens moment to moment to moment. It is not like I've resolved and then I've risen again. It's like, abhi main kya karunga? Every moment to moment to moment, it is resolving into Brahman. That is what is meant by Ayam. Ayamatma. That Ayam Pravibhajyamanam Pratyagatmataya Abhinayanena Nirdishati. Abhinayanena, in Bharatnatyam, you know, there are Abhinaya. What is this Abhinaya? Mudras. And each one of these, Patak Mudra, and each one of them, they indicate something. So when it is said Ayam, he is saying that the teacher is indicating Ayam, Ayam, this, where he cannot indicate any further. So this Abhinaya, it is indicated this Atma. Shankaracharya is saying that when the teacher is saying Ayam Atma, the Ayam is this Abhinaya, indicating to what? To the Pratyagatma. Now when it is indicating, don't take for the body, don't take for the heart, don't take for the beating heart, or don't take on the left side of the beating heart. That is not what is meant. What is meant is the innermost. Pratyagatma is what is indicated by that Abhinaya Mudra. When I say that, so that box over there, and then this Atma. So when I say this Atma, I have to go deep inside. Not this the body, not this the mind, not this the intellect, but this the Atma which is within the cave of the intellect. That is this Mahavakya Vichar over here. Saha ayam omkara abhidheya para aparatvena vyavastita chatushpad karsham panavan na gauhu iti. So what he is saying is, this chatushpad over here is like the four parts of the coin. and not the 4 legs of a cow, gauhu ivaiti, not like a cow. The cow stands on 4 legs. So when the cow stands on 4 legs, and if a cow loses 1 leg, that cow can survive on the remaining 3 legs. And when all 4 of them are removed, the body continues to exist without the 4 legs. She still survives. So over here 4 parts are not 4 independent parts is what Shankaracharya ji is indicating, but it is like a 4 parts of a coin. When we say $1, 25 cents can stand independently by itself. When I say 50 cents, there are 2 25 cents. 2 are required to make 50 cents. If I take 25, it doesn't work. Both are required to make 50 cents. When I say 75 cents, all 3 quarters are required to make 75 cents. When I say $, 4 quarters are required to make $1. And that $1 exists when all 4 quarters are present. So he's saying that it is like a quarter. The 3 states cannot exist without the 4th. And that 4th is the primary one. Without that 25 cent, you cannot add anything to make 50. The first 25 itself is the most important. The 4 part of the coin, the 4 parts of dollar, without the first, you cannot create it. So the Jagrat Avastha, Swapna Avastha, Shushupti Avastha, they depend upon Turiya. And the Turiya is the most important, and that Turiya is where the Pravilapanam of all of them take place. And in that way, when it is said Chatushpad, it is like coins. And it is not, when it is said Chatushpad, it is not like the 4 legs of the cow. The cow continues to exist when 4 legs are taken off. But you cannot say $1 when you remove 25 cents. It will be only 75 cents. So the unit is very important, and over here the unit is Brahman. Because of Brahman, all avasthas stand, and without Brahman, no avastha is possible. So, in the same way, Trayanam Vishwadinam Purva Purva Pravilapanena Turiyasya Pratipattihi iti Karanasadanaha Pad Shabdaha. So what he is saying is Trayanam Vishwadinam. What is meant by Vishwadinam? The 3 avasthas. In Sanskrit, they have a name. Jagrat is known as the one identified with the waking state, Vishwa. The one identified over here with the dream state, Tejas. And the one identified with the deep sleep state is known as Prajna. So Vishwa, and this is just knowledge, that's it. This is from Tattva Bodh. So we have to study Tattva Bodh to get this knowledge. It says Trayanam Vishwadinam. What is meant is waker, dreamer, deep sleep, all of them. Purva Purvasya Pravilapanena. each one of them systematically, the waker resolves into the dreamer resolves into the sleeper resolves into the fourth. And it is, these are the instrumental. Without the waker, the waking experience is not possible. So in Sanskrit we have, each one of, when we decline noun, each one of them has a name. So the instrumental, what is, without an instrument you cannot indicate an instrumental avastha. So that karana sadhana pad shabdah. So this pad is to indicate that place where the locus of the experience will take place. So that is meant by this soyamatma chatushpad, ayamatma brahma. And then that ayamatma brahma is chatushpad. In which way it is chatushpad? That it is like the 4 coins and not the 4 legs. And now the experience, when it is talked about that Brahman is this pratyagatma, that pratyagatma is where the pratyagatma is in 4 places. Which 4 places? So the 3 are indicated where the locus experience takes place. But then what is the 4th? The 4th is where the experience does not take place. That's why he identified 3 independently as karana sadhana pad shabda. Turiyasya padyate iti karma sadhana pad shabda. It is, turiya is not karana. Turiya is karma. It is in the sense of a objective noun. It is presence. It is known to itself. But the other are instrumental. It is in that avastha, objective knowledge takes place. But turiya is different. He's just mentioning this. Why? Now comes a detailed explanation of what happens in the waking, the dream and the deep sleep. And turiya, I just mentioned turiya is noun. There's a whole mantra, very famous mantra in Mandukya Upanishad, which describes what is the noun avastha. Again, I'm using avastha, it is not an avastha. What is the chatushpad turiya, the 4th? What is that? It will be mentioned in the 7th. We will continue tomorrow. Now we will enter the Jagrat Avastha tomorrow. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.